before we get into our new project, a few things I do want to mention. One, this is not for the faint of heart. If blood, gore, and psychological themes are not of your interest, this is probably not the game for you. 9 Hours, 9 Doors, 9 Persons is a visual novel that, in many cases, tests your extremes. I know this having played it. If at any point anything proves to be uncomfortable, it's fine to look away. It's fine to say, yeah, this is my limit, and step away. On that subject, number 2. There's a reason why we're looking at Synapse Cafe here as opposed to the new title card and everything. And that's because I haven't finished it. The specific title card that I've been working on is very much a detailed one. And as a result of that, I haven't finished it. On preview, this is what I have so far. Because I've been trying to get the pre-line work and everything settled for it. And at that, I also talked with a friend of mine, and they said they didn't want to be in this title card. Such, I understand it. Some people don't exactly like associating their characters with darker works like this one. And if anything, I not only appreciate the honesty, I value my friendships more than artistic creativity. As a result, I will be changing one of these characters, specifically Daniel Rotwins. The guy is a really nice person, and I, again, value my friendship, and I would rather respect that. I'm done for not putting 2 and 2 together to make 9. Well, that's another wrinkle on it. I should have been more honest when I said, hey, this was going to be for the title card, as opposed to trying to make it a surprise. The next time I do this type of thing in the future, I'll make sure to clear it with the people ahead of time, make sure that they're fine with it first, before I ask them if they want to be a part of the title card. My apologies. I essentially put the wagon in front of the horse, and I shouldn't have done that. And yes, Zaya, the specific reason why I was laughing at you choosing 8 involves one of the characters. That's all I'll say on that one. But yeah, there's also a third item I didn't realize for a bit. And this one's a hard oops. It's been a very busy week for me, and I've had a lot to keep track of, and as a result of that, I didn't download the ROM for 999, which I just took care of now, so it's just gonna be a matter of extracting it and everything. Yeah, while I'm trying to get things prepared, I'm just gonna talk about things. It's been a very busy week for me, and as a result, a lot of things have had to go under the table, unfortunately. But at least for right now, we're prepared. Another item that I do need to bring up at one point, and also complicating my working on the title card, I've also been helping a friend of mine design a character, actually. You might have seen him appear every so often. He does his own streaming on occasions, too. He's stopped temporarily while he's been trying to sort out his life. RT. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good friend of mine, and just coming into the furry fandom. And I want to help ease his transition, so I figure, yeah, let's help him redesign his character. And yeah, that's something I've been working on. I also asked him if he'd be fine to appear in the title card as well. He says he's fine with it, so chances are I'll ask him a little later today which of the slots he wants to take. Other than that, I'm pretty sure we would still have like 2 open slots. I don't know who to plug into them. But honestly, at the best case scenario, I might raffle them off, be like, just randomly within streams, see, oh hey, is anyone interested? Sure, go ahead. I'll need a reference to pick. Otherwise, I'll probably just use 2 of my own characters. Flash and Celiana are always available. But with that settled, also decided to redesign the DS overlay specifically for this game. It's simple, but it'll work. I'd also like to mention that any artwork I use for these title cards and everything, if I do use artwork, are usually official artwork specifically. So these are not mine. Only my little raccoon Abby in the corner is my own, technically. Just pointing that out. But otherwise, I think I have Thinger. Where did it go? I should have restocked my water, but oh well. Why do I know? These things. Seek a door that carries a 9. Now it is time. Let our game begin. Okay. In the meantime, this game is fiction. All names, characters, and incidents portrayed in this production are fictitious. In other words, they have no bearing on real-world counterparts. Keep that in mind. Whoa. Loud noise startled Junpei awake. His eyes snapped open. As they adjusted to the light, he realized he didn't recognize his surroundings. Ah! With a crack, Junpei's head connected with something metal. He rolled over, threw out his hand to steady himself, but he found himself groping at empty air. His balance lost, his still fuzzy mind struggling to understand what was going on. Junpei tumbled to the cold gray floor. Ah, god damn it! What the hell? Junpei glared around the room, still trying to determine where he'd woken up. The fall had shaken the last cobwebs of sleep from his mind, and finally he understood where he'd fallen from. A bed. A 3-level bunk bed, in fact. He'd fallen, apparently, from the topmost bunk. His shoulder hurt, knee, hip, his entire body hurt. He could feel a bump forming on his forehead where he'd slammed it against the low ceiling. He wondered if that bump was the reason he felt his vision wavering a bit, but that seemed unlikely. At first, he thought the tremor that ran through his legs was just another effect of his rude awakening, but as he looked around, he realized it was real. The whole room was shaking. Was it an earthquake, he wondered? It didn't seem likely. It was shaking far too quickly for an earthquake. Then again, Junpei had no idea what it was, if not an earthquake. He tried to tell himself it was important. Junpei rubbed the growing bump on his head, gingerly climbed to his feet. His balance regained, he finally took his first good look around the room. Muttered to himself, "Where am I?" His pain momentarily forgotten in the face of the confusion of his circumstances, Junpei looked around the room once again. Minutes passed while Junpei struggled to get his bearings. Then, as suddenly as they had begun, the tremors ceased. A cold silence fell over the room. From somewhere far away, Junpei could hear the sound of metal squeaking. He felt his stomach tighten. There were 1,000 things the sound could have been, but none of the things he could think of were good. In an attempt to distract himself, Junpei looked around the room once more. There was a stove that looked more antique than functional. The 3-level bunk had mattresses that were so thin they were little more than blankets. On the other side of the room, an identical bed, and set in the wall between the beds was a slightly dirty iron bar. The first thing Junpei noticed about the door was the number emblazoned across it. On the surface, in red paint, someone had written 5. 5? What the hell does that mean? Utterly confused, Junpei approached the door slowly. Standing at last in front of the door, Junpei grabbed hold of the L-shaped handle. A push yielded no movement, a pull the same. A few more tries cemented the truth in his mind. It wouldn't open. It didn't matter how much he pushed and shoved. The handle wouldn't budge. Next to the door was an odd-looking device, reminding Junpei of a card reader. It didn't take a genius to figure out that odd-looking device was keeping the door shut. He knocked hard on the door. "Hey! Hello? Is anyone there? Open the door!" There was no response. He threw his left fist into the door and stopped. What the hell is this? He wasn't really sure what else to say. On his left wrist was a bracelet. A bracelet. Sure, let's roll with it. A bracelet. Of a sort he'd never seen before. In the center was a large LCD display. It looked like nothing else so much as a watch, but it clearly wasn't that. After all, it only showed a single number. 5. The same as the door. True, the numbers were the same, but he had no idea what that might mean. All he knew was it was strange, new, and he wanted it off. Junpei flipped his hand over, as if to remove the watch, but the other side of the bracelet was solid. No buckle, no clasp, nothing. He sighed, flipped it back over. There were a number of rivets around the rim of the face. Perhaps... He pushed them. Nothing happened. On a watch, there might be dials for adjusting date or time, but on this bracelet, nothing. Junpei was at a loss. What was he going to do? Growing more and more desperate, he tugged at it. However... Damn it! It's no good! Damn thing won't come off! A steel ring ran from the face, around Junpei's wrist, back into the face. He wouldn't be pulling the bracelet off any time in the near future. What the hell is the deal with this thing? Frustration and desperation were beginning to mix as the reality of the situation dawned fully. So much was happening, none of it made sense. Junpei felt as though he were about to explode. Where am I? Why the hell am I here? Why? What the hell happened? It was at that moment he noticed the window. The window was round, rimmed in riveted brass, like a window from an early 20th century ship. What? Am I in a ship? He walked slowly toward the window. You could see nothing beyond it but thick, impenetrable darkness. Junpei squinted, trying to see something. Anything. It was at that moment. What the... Oh, you gotta be kidding! A crack split the glass of the window, and for a moment, Junpei stared at it. The window burst. Water began to pour into the room. Oh, what the hell? Junpei yelled, spun around. His feet slipping on the water, already coming through the window. He ran for the door. Hey! Anyone! Is anyone there? Come on! If you're there, say something! There was no reply. As Junpei screamed and pounded on the door, water began to rise. He was now ankle deep on the floor, rising quickly toward his knees. Things weren't looking good for Junpei. Not good at all. He needed to find a way out. And quickly. He ran a hand across his forehead, brushing the sweat out of his eyes, looked around the room. Seek a way out. 9 Hours, 9 Doors, 9 Persons is a escape the room type puzzle game mixed with a visual novel. And I just realized I don't have my controls properly set. Wow, way to go, me. How professional. But regardless, our objective, more often than not, whenever we're faced with something like this, is look around the room, figure out what's around us, and, well, try to find a way out. You can examine things by clicking on them for the most part. A majority of this game uses the stylus, and just in case I have a controller plugged in, if you can interact with it, it'll glow yellow. You can use the controller. This is a controller? What? This is a DS game, me. You can use your face buttons to move about the room, save, check your menu, that type of thing. But generally, escaping each of these different puzzle rooms isn't going to be a matter of find the key, get out. We're also going to need to actually look for that key. Investigating certain items will let us add them to our inventory. Items in the inventory can be examined, interacted with, combined with other items, that type of thing. The adventure game's standard. So to start with, a picture frame. An old picture frame. There's a picture of a ship on it. And there's screws keeping the back on. We can have one item equipped at any point in time, and if we choose to interact with things, interacting with it, with the item, takes priority usually, if it's something that can interact. Otherwise, we get some fluff text. A note from the bulletin board. Bit of a funny note, don't you think? Doesn't seem like there's anything hidden in the sink. This is the only drain in the room. Water's pouring onto this table like a little waterfall. I don't see anything useful there. Inside this teapot, on the other hand, a blue key. There's also going to be something inside this little stove here. A screwdriver. Now we can combine that with the picture. Get that picture. And behind it, a number key. Strange, huh? But that's the simplicity of this particular opening puzzle. On the DS version, we do have to do this a whole bunch of times, so get used to the pattern. Specifically because the DS version is a little jank in that respect. If I remember correctly, I know I can interact with one of these pillows. I don't remember which one, though. No, I've got a blue key. I might as well use it. Alright, let's see what happens if I put this blue key in the keyhole. And nothing. Yes, I need some sort of code for the dial. Each escape room has a variety of different micro games within it, where you're interacting with stuff to solve a puzzle, essentially. In this case, we need 4 numbers to unlock this lock, but we don't exactly have those numbers, do we? We actually do. And if I remember correctly, there's also a storage closet somewhere. There's also this mirror with a red key. Junpei grabbed the key, shoved it into his pocket. He intended to leave immediately, but something stopped him. His reflection stared back at him from the mirror, but he had scarcely recognized himself. What's up with my face? His confusion was well justified. His face was drawn and pale. The dark circles under his eyes made him look as though he were nearly dead. What the hell happened to me? How'd I end up here? Even as he said it, something in his mind opened. A memory bobbed to the surface. The last thing he remembered before waking up in that strange room. Past midnight when he came home. Junpei shuffled up the stairs, opened the door to apartment 201. Inside was his apartment. Small, one-bedroom affair that ran him about $630 a month. He moved into it when he entered college. So far he'd been there for 3 years, 7 months. He stepped inside, turned on the lights. The fluorescent lights on the ceiling blinked and flickered slowly to life, as if waking from a deep slumber. Their cold light illuminated the landscape he'd come home to so many times before. Everything was as he'd left it. The magazines piled up in the corner, the textbooks collecting dust, the CD cases covering the floor, the jeans and t-shirt he'd worn the day before, then tossed there too. There was one thing that didn't belong. A breeze. Breaths of cold night air wafted into his apartment, carrying the smells of autumn with them. The white curtain framing his window swayed gently in the wind. That's weird. Did I leave that open? Junpei walked toward the window, trying to remember if he'd closed it or not before he left. One of the panes was hanging open. He stuck his head out, looked around. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. He shrugged. Must have just left it open earlier. Closed the window. Then it happened. Junpei turned, found himself face to face with a man dressed in black. He wore a deep hood and a bulky gas mask. His face was entirely hidden. He tried to scream, but all he could manage was a strangled croak. He tried to step toward the man. His legs couldn't support his weight anymore. He collapsed to the floor, a crumpled heap of limbs like a discarded puppet. Too late. He noticed the smoke quickly filling his apartment. A small object, shaped distressingly like a grenade, sat on the floor in his face, hissing. The white smoke poured out of it at an incredible rate. It had grown so thick, the details of Junpei's apartment had faded into a white haze. He could feel his mind begin to fade as well, a white haze, not the smoke creeping into the edges of his vision. Consider this a privilege. You've been chosen. A rasping voice wormed its way out of the gas mask. Cold and harsh and distorted in some way. Junpei couldn't put his finger on it. You're going to participate in a game. The Nonary game. It is a game where you will put your life on the line. That was the last thing Junpei remembered. The white smoke overpowered him. The masked man faded from his vision. He felt his consciousness fall away into the white mist. That's right. The guy with the gas mask. That son of a bitch must have taken me here! As to who the man was, or might have been, Junpei had no idea. He wasn't even sure his assailant had been a man. The voice had been cold and mechanical, likely passed through a voice changer, and the body had been covered in a thick cloak. Who was the man in the mask? You have been chosen? Junpei remembered that much, but what it might mean, that was beyond him. He had no idea where he was, why he was there. There was only one thing from his memory that seemed important. You're going to participate in a game. The Nonary game. Nonary game, huh? The hell's a Nonary game? With a yell, Junpei drove his fist into the mirror. The mirror cursed at him. Oh, right, this thing. This was the thing I needed to interact with. Here is our second suitcase. Just like the blue one. And there's a lock on this one, too. If I remember correctly, I solve this one first. Yeah, I know the operation instructions. 9 days, $9, 9 donuts, 9 honks, 9 pogchamps, 9 derps. Exactly! And welcome back. But yeah, we have the item we need. Well, items, I should say. Dark filled triangle. Yep, this is red unfilled. Blue filled. Etc., etc. Make this a little easier to see. So if I remember correctly, this code should be 7. Is it 7, 4, 6, 3? No, wait. You'd think it's 7463, but I don't think it is. If I remember correctly, I need like the second tag before I can actually do this one. Yep, I need the second tag. Which, if I remember correctly, I think it was underneath a pillow. Might not have been. Ah, there it is. So now we have both tags we need, and we have the codes. So 7, 4, followed by filled red, which is an 8. 7, 4, 8, 5. Yeah, I know. There we go. Now what's in this briefcase? Answer. A stack of red key cards. Obtuse. But these are going to be useful for the final puzzle to escape the room. Meanwhile, let's check these memos once more for the blue code. So that should be 0, 2, 0, 2, 6, 3. There we go. That's the second one. And within is a folder. As we play the game, we're going to be getting a whole bunch of different documents, ranging in usefulness. Some of them are background information, others are important for puzzles. These are all collectively known as files. Digital root. Let's see here. Compute a digital root with the following steps. Add all the numbers in question to one another. If you end up with something greater than a single digit, add the digits to one another again. For instance, if you have double-digit number, add the number in the tens place to the number in the ones place. Keep adding in this manner until you have a single-digit answer. That final digit is your digital root. Example, the digital root of 678 would be 678 yields 21, 2 plus 1 is 3. Therefore, the digital root of 678 is 3. Digital roots are going to be a common thing that we end up having to calculate and do in this game. I see. So if I keep adding numbers until I get a single digit... Oh, there's something else on the back of this thing. Notebook, pen, calculator, and a stack of key cards. The notebook and... So the notebook is going to be your best friend, the calculator second best friend if you happen to be bad at math. I'm actually decent at math, so I might not use it as often. Unless I'm probably going to show something. The calculator can also calculate digital roots for you, which you will need to do fairly often, so in the case that digital roots go over your head, well, there's your means of doing so. These cards, I'm pretty sure this is where I'm supposed to use them. Let's slide them in, see if it works. And... Played through the second game, seen a playthrough of the third. Oh, I see. It's not working. Why? No, that's right. I have cards I haven't used. I'm actually kind of the reverse, where, like... I have played the entirety of the first game, I've played half of the second, seen a playthrough for the rest. Because the second is just exhausting to trek through, and it's for that reason that I'm probably not going to touch it for a long time. And the third game I've never played once, but according to my sister it was kind of disappointing. But yeah. To exit this room, we need to assemble the digital root of 5. Simple, really. So figure out which 3 cards yield a DR of 5. Let's see, this one is 6, 9... There are at least 2 or 3 different answers to this puzzle, if I remember correctly. 13... 6, 7, 1 works. Because 6 plus 7 is 13, plus 1 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. Third game is terrible in terms of story, second game is fantastic. Yeah, I think that's the consensus. The second game is the peak of the series. Just, with how much shit you have to do in the second game, I lost focus and interest, specifically because of how tedious it was. I might get back to it at some point, maybe finish it, we'll see. Accompanied by a wall of angry water, Junpei shot out of the room and into the opposing wall. Ugh! Gasping to catch his breath, he looked around. He was in a narrow hallway. The water that had followed him out of the room was rapidly pouring out of the door, flowed quickly down the hallway, and slammed into the foot of the short flight of stairs. Just 5 steps, in fact. At the top. Another door! Junpei leapt up the stairs, straight for the door. It burst open, and he exploded out of it, only to freeze in his tracks. What other possible response could there have been to what he saw? What the hell? His voice trailed off. All he could do was stare. All he could do was stare at the stairs in front of him. All he could do was watch them take flight. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be passively snarking this game. A polished floor stretched out before him, ornate staircases rising up from the edges, each one of them equidistant from the others. The stairs and pillars were solid wood. Art Nouveau embellishments and decorations covered the walls and pillars. It looked like nothing so much as the entrance to a luxurious mansion from the early 1900s. Junpei couldn't help but wonder, was he really in a ship? The water filling the hall behind him suggested that yes, he was. As he looked, a fresh wave rolled out of the room he'd been in, gathering speed as it moved toward the stairs. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is totally a boat. Wait, what the hell? A wave! I gotta get out of here! Junpei spun around, his wet shoes squeaking in protest on the polished floor. He ran toward this tremendous staircase in front of him. C deck. B deck. As he ran, he quickly glanced at the plates mounted on the wall, denoting the decks of the ship. He took the stairs 2 at a time, not entirely sure where he would find himself. Just as he began to wonder where, in fact, the stairs did lead, Junpei saw another person out of the corner of his eye. He stopped short, nearly tripping over the next stair, and looked. It wasn't just one person. On the landing to the left of the stairs, there were 4. On the right side, 3 more. All told, 7 total. It looked as though they'd been on their way down the stairs. They'd stopped short when they saw Junpei, their eyes widened. He'd done the same, of course. Now they stood there, staring at one another. Junpei didn't move, one foot placed awkwardly on the next step in the middle of the stride. Who were these people? This entire interaction lasted only a matter of seconds. The woman spoke to Junpei, and time began to move again. I guess there's another one of us now. The woman was dressed, Junpei thought, rather like a dancer. Her clothes covered very little, her prodigious jewelry little more. Hey, you! Come on! Hurry! With no further ceremony, she ran, straight past Junpei and toward the doors past him. The sudden proximity, with such striking assets, left Junpei momentarily stunned. The others wasted no time, quickly followed the strange woman. What First to pass was a young man with silver hair. He threw a quick glance in Junpei's direction as he ran, muttering, "One of us, huh?" Following him was an older man, his face calm and without fear. Soft wrinkles spread from his eyes. He came close enough as he passed for Junpei to see wisps of gray in his hair. His composure and shock of hair struck Junpei as rather like that of an elderly lion. "Going up won't do you any good. There are 2 doors, but neither of them will open." The next to speak was a girl with pink hair and a high voice.
"Come on! Aren't you coming? You gotta hurry!"
Her small hand was wrapped around the wrist of another. His eyes were closed, almost as though he were sleeping. His features were graceful, almost serene. He was dressed rather elegantly for someone his age. Something about his posture seemed refined. Junpei couldn't help feeling he was noble and dignified. He'd certainly never seen one, but this man seemed like what Junpei would imagine a prince would look like. And that's 9 of us, then. All of the cards are in hand. What does all the cards in hand mean, he wondered. Junpei opened his mouth to ask, but the girl with pink hair rushed past him, and they were gone. He turned just in time to see 2 more people running toward him. One of them had hair like a bird's nest. The looked as though a stiff breeze might topple him. And the other, a veritable mountain. The scrawny one said nothing, scuttled past Junpei as though they were running from something. "Hey! What the hell are you just staring there for? Did you hear him? The doors on A deck are no good. We gotta check the doors on B deck. Got it? Now go!" Before he had a chance to respond, the man laid a massive hand on Junpei's shoulder. With no more effort than Junpei would have used to brush a fly, the man shoved him out of the way. Thrown off balance in recent events, it took Junpei a few steps to get his bearings. When he finally regained his balance and looked up at what the other 7 had been running toward. 2 pairs of large iron doors set into the wall in front of him. They looked quite sturdy, each had handles jutting from them. Written across the surface of each door was red paint, a number. The door on the right, a 4. The door on the left, a 5. They're the same? The guy Junpei had decided to call Silver was mumbling to himself. The room I woke up in had a number on the door just like this. "You too." With an arched eyebrow, the lion looked over at Silver. "My cell was the same. A number upon the door. I opened it, ran down the hallway outside, found myself in the rather grand room full of stairs, as, I suspect, did the rest of you." It was as though the floodgates had been opened. They all began to talk at once.
"Me too. I did too."
Yeah, a door with a number on it. It soon became clear each of them had woken in a similar locked room and solved the puzzle to escape. They'd ended up in the same room. Almost as though they'd been guided there.
"Yes, we all saw the same thing. That's not important. We need to hurry."
"You don't think I know that, lady?" Before the dancer had time to finish, Silver was already running. He grabbed hold of the door 5 and pulled. "Fuck! It's not opening! Damn thing won't even budge!" "Move! You're in the way!" The mountain grabbed Silver's shoulder, tossed him aside. His path cleared. He took a few steps back, threw himself at the door. Once, twice, thrice, quatrice. The door shook as his body slammed into it. No signs of breaking or opening. He tried again. Junpei turned toward door 4. Next to it, on the wall, a small box. Looked like the one he'd seen in his room next to that door. If it was, this door likely locked as well. He had to check. Junpei grabbed the handle, threw all of his weight on it. Locked as tight as the door next to it, as he suspected. Damn it! He punched it. Of course, it snubbed him.